Megaherzzz.
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 You're listening to Megaherzzz on 4ZZZ.
You're listening to Megaherzzz on 4ZZZ 102.1 FM. And my name is Denise and my pronouns are she, her. And I'm in the studio today with my lovely co-host.
I'm Sarah and my pronouns are they, them.
And we've got a jam-packed program for you again today. But first up, in our A to Z of feminism, we're going to go to Ecuador in South America as our letter E for the A to Z of feminism around the world.
And I'm once again looking forward to being educated about what's happening around the world.
I know, it's pretty dynamic, really. It's yes, there's a lot to learn. But anyway, Sarah and I and Sissy all went to the Stop Killing Women rally in Meanjin on Saturday, so we'll be talking about that, and we've got a couple of interviews from that rally. We'll also be having a quick chat about our 50th birthday anniversary and some of the history, because Sarah went to a history evening at the State Library.
I got to go to the State Library and see a couple of talks there, a talk by Dr. John Wilsteed and also a talk by, I want to say Dr. Heather Anderson. Dr. Heather Anderson. I think Heather Anderson is correct. It was Heather Anderson. And I think that she is also a doctor. But she was a great speaker, regardless of what her honorific is. And, it was really, really interesting talk and some video footage of the original 4ZZZ studio being built at UQ and just talking about the role of various women in not just women's programs at the station, but in their actual physical building of the station and getting the license together and all of the things that they did, but for reasons, some of their contributions have often been overlooked. So, looking forward to having a chat about that as well.
Yes, so it's a big program. But first up, of course, we want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we're broadcasting today, the Turrbal and the Yagara people, and also the tribes that are, the peoples that are from wherever you're listening today. And we want to pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging. And in particular, I want to pay respects to all the women, our Indigenous women, because they're at the front line in terms of when we talk about stop killing women. The statistics for them are just horrendous. And, I just wanted to say some solidarity for them. And we're about to head to our segment that we made a commitment to do every week, and it's our men's violence report. So if there's going to be some content warning here, it is emotionally charged, and if you need to take care of yourself by either tuning out or seeking support if necessary, then do that. But what we're mainly concentrating on today in this segment is that Sarah, Sissy and I, we all went to the Stop Killing Women rally in Meanjin in George Street near the Magistrates Court on Saturday morning. There was a number of different speakers from different parts of our community that spoke about the difference in safety required. So, for example, different safety for sex workers, different safety for transgender women, all the different ways that violence plays a part in these different communities. So it was very powerful and very it was interesting because you learnt a lot, I think. I think if you have one idea of what it means for domestic violence, but to hear different speakers from different areas, I think really highlighted how challenging this and complex this issue that we're facing in our community is at the moment. And then we walked around to the Magistrates Court, and all the women that died last year and this year were read out in front of the police headquarters. I found that very poignant and very, it was just very emotional. And I think everybody there was in the same boat as me. What's your thoughts on it all?
Yeah, I would absolutely like to congratulate the organisers of the event, because it stood out how well organised it was. Even the marshals took care of everybody, and it was just really well done. And the choice of speakers, like, it was a really, as you mentioned, a diverse range of speakers, and highlighting different aspects of women's safety and from different quarters of the community. And they've just had so many important stories and so much to share, and just very different experiences from everybody. But with that, that common unfortunately, that common narrative between them all is that they are all people who care about the safety of women and feel the need to be vocal about that, because it's just not being taken seriously at the moment. And there were also, as I said, from all quarters, but there were people with lived experience of violence there, and there were people who had lost loved ones as well, whose loved ones could not be there to speak at the rallies, and so spoke on their behalf, and it was incredibly moving.
Yes. Yeah. I think from my point of view, the disappointing thing was the numbers, the number of people that were there. I mean, we did sound very loud when we were chanting and walking, but, really this is such an important issue, and yet we don't seem to be getting any. There was no media coverage, as far as I know, other than us.
We were there.
Other than us.
And we found there was somebody from Z Lines, 4ZZZ News, representing twice there.
That's right.
Well, there were people with professional-looking cameras, so I don't know where they were from.
I didn't check where they were from, to be true.
I didn't go and check out their ID, but maybe I needed to be a bit more nosy. But no, I see what you're saying there, and I was quite surprised at the turnout. So I would maybe estimate 200 people. Yes. And I didn't count again. So rough estimate. I was expecting a much bigger crowd. But that's not too. I don't want to be down on it. Because I think that everybody that was there was very present. And it still showed that this was an important and is an important ongoing issue. And I don't want to rag on the people who weren't there and just celebrate the people that were there. But I will admit I was expecting more individuals at this particular individual rally. But I also want to highlight that while the specific group in Meanjin seemed to, we're talking about a couple of hundred people. There were like 16 of these rallies happening simultaneously around Australia. So all adding up, I'm sure that is actually a lot of people did come out and did show that they care. And look, I think that our presence was noted as well. It's certainly, there were people who didn't know about the rally, I guess, but they saw us marching, and they That's true. I'm sure there were people who stopped to hear speakers as well that maybe didn't know that was on. So, still worth doing.
And a shout out to Sherelle Moody for all the effort that she put in to make these rallies happen all around Australia. It's a big ask, and I think she well and truly pulled it off amazingly. And thanks to all the coordinators of all those rallies. We've got a couple of interviews coming up. But we'll
let's play one interview. We'll have a little chat and a song, and then we'll play the next
second one.
interview. Yeah.
So do you want to talk about this first interview, Sarah, with Remar Naji?
Sure. So and this will give you a bit of a feel of the rally as well. So this is an interview that I recorded as we were walking and chanting with Remar Naji, who is an activist and also the candidate for Greens in Moreton. But as you'll hear at the start, not Moreton Bay, but Moreton, which is in the south side. But she gave a fantastic speech and very, very inspiring speech, and was, well, look, let's have a listen and you can hear what she had to say.
Let's do it.
Well, could you introduce yourself for me?
Yeah, my name is Remar Naji. I am active in the Palestine Solidarity Movement, and I'm also standing for the Greens in the federal seat of Moreton.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, in Moreton. Is
on the south side, not Moreton Bay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, people get confused all the time.
Yeah, it's like,
with the name.
I'm like, ooh. I was like, are you up against Peter Dutton?
I know.
Right, okay.
Although we're all up against Peter Dutton, aren't we?
Yeah, that is true. And I thought you gave a wonderful speech today at the rally. And can I ask what inspired you to come and talk today?
It's the injustice. Because, years of watching human decency decline just left a scar in us, and it just shapes my whole politics and my whole activism. I can't just sit back and watch those injustices happening, because when we choose to bear witness, well, this carries a responsibility, and the very least we could do is to stand up and speak truth to power.
Absolutely. And I loved what you said about hands for dismantling the machine, dismantling the patriarchy, not just for clapping.
Yeah. Yes. I think that, oftentimes we forget how powerful we are, and we just engage as spectators rather than as active participants in, implementing the change that we want to see in the world.
I think that sometimes people feel powerless, and they feel like they have no power. They feel powerless. There's nothing they can do. But I think people forget that we're all part of the machine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that our biggest challenge, here in any movement, everyday people out in the streets who are trying to implement change anywhere, and in any social justice movement, our biggest challenge isn't that we don't have a blueprint of what a society might look like, what an inclusive society might look like. I think our biggest challenge is that people are feeling so disempowered, disencouraged, because they are, disillusioned by this political establishment that has failed them time and time again, and now they're feeling very skeptical about engaging in any political project or social project that might bring about change. And if we don't have that ability to mobilize people and bring them in together, then we don't have a base, and if we don't have a base, we have nothing. So the most important thing for us, the challenge for us, and this is what we're trying to do here and in any social justice movement, is to bring people together.
Thank you. And do you have a message for our listeners that you'd like to share?
Please engage in any, community project that you feel.
Your deal. Thank you so much, and thanks for that talk. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Please engage in any community project that you feel speaks to your principles and speaks to your values. Because even if that community project is, some action, big action that never succeeds, it really gives people an opportunity. It allows them to imagine what an alternative society might look like. It will give them the opportunity to relate differently to people, because in those places when we get together, this is community work, which is the antithesis of the capitalist system that encourages us to act individually and keep exploiting ourselves in different ways. Whereas if we engage in community work, this is where we start to imagine how an alternative living might look like.
Fantastic. Thank you. Engage with the community. That is a wonderful message, and thank you for everything you've done today.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
I love what she said there about community being the antithesis of capitalism. And and I referenced it in my question there, that one of the things that she said is that hands aren't just for clapping, hands are for dismantling the systems. and another thing that she said in her talk was that pissed off women change history. So that was my takeaway from that one. She was really, really good, as were all the speakers that we saw on the day.
Paradigm Shifts podcast is available online and via your favourite podcasting app, challenging the assumptions of our current society to investigate alternative ways of living for a world based on justice, solidarity and sustainability. Tune in to the Paradigm Shift podcast. Just search The Paradigm Shift for Triple Z.
And you are listening to Megaherzzz on 4ZZZ 102.1 FM. And you're here with Denise and Sarah. And we have been listening to some interviews from the rally, the Stop Killing Women rallies on the Saturday. And we've got another one coming up.
We do have another one. So the interviews are all interviews I recorded while marching. While marching along. So you got a lot of authentic sound, and so I apologise for the bit of wind noise that we're having there. I did in fact lose the sock that goes on the microphone. So I grabbed an actual sock. This is audio tech secrets here. And I had a little Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sock that I put on the microphone there. So Leonardo did a pretty good job at blocking the wind, but not all of it. But I think it's got some authenticity.
I think it does, and it's very raw and real, like it was on the day. So.
Absolutely. So this interview, when we started marching, this is an interview with Dave Kramer, who spoke at the rally, and he has been an activist and a campaigner since he unfortunately lost somebody very close to him through male violence, and has been a campaigner because she has not been able to. So he gave a very passionate speech as well, and so we caught up to him on the march, and
and it was good to see. There were quite a number of men there, which was really nice to see the solidarity, but. It was good to have Dave talk about his personal experience from that gendered view as well. So here's the second interview that we had with Dave. So thank you it was very powerful and very courageous to come along to something like this.
Yeah.
And
I think it's just... I don't know about courageous. I appreciate it. I genuinely appreciate the compliments like that, but I think it's necessary more than courageous. I think showing up is the smallest part of the equation,
I guess why I say it's courageous is because what you said, the bro code.
Yeah.
They're not showing up, are they?
Exactly, and we have to break the rules. We have to recognise that even the bro code, and we spoke about this just before we started, it sits within the patriarchy, but that isn't working for us either.
No.
Right? It's destroying all of us, so we need to dismantle that and start breaking some rules so that we can set some new ones that work for everyone.
Absolutely. The binary code works against both of us.
Absolutely.
But still, thank you for showing up.
I really loved it. Speaking of showing up, I love what you're saying about showing up, and how showing up doesn't necessarily mean, that it doesn't mean making excuses for people. It actually means making them better people and helping them to be better people. Could you talk a little bit about that for me?
Yeah, I think that's it. One of the things that we think about is I talk a lot in schools and in adult workplaces, and when we talk to men about what it means to be a good man, loyalty always comes up. It always comes up. And then when we break it down, what it looks like is saying, I'll stand by him no matter what. So if he makes a derogatory comment about his girlfriend, he's just a bit, he's a bit tense at the moment. Let it go.
Sorry.
You're right.
We can walk and talk.
Yeah, sure.
Noise is part of the experience.
Yeah. And then we find out that, he goes home after a night at the pub and he yells at his girlfriend like, oh man, he had a bit too much to drink. So we just, instead of looking at loyalty and looking at love between two men as I will hold my mates accountable to a high standard that I want to see in the world that we live in, we go, I'll excuse every one of his behaviours because it's easier to do that for one, and it maintains the relationship and no one has to change anything. And we still maintain the power, we still maintain the control. We don't have to change anything. So I would rather men see themselves in groups, see opportunities like that where we offer accountability to someone as a way to connect with him, rather than as a way to be combative, to fight with him, but as a way to connect and say we can do better.
So it sounds like you have a radical idea that you can actually hold someone to a high standard and be loyal and stick by them at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do it all. I think it's understanding that in most cases we start with some combative approach where we call someone some kind of name and say don't do that, when it's probably valid and warranted in many situations, but it might not work. So what might work is going, mate, that was bullshit, you shouldn't have done that, what's going on? Hear the world of excuse that he wants to offer up, and I'm dealing with X and Y and Z, and then say, look, I get it, you're dealing with a lot of stuff and I want to help you with that, but also I'm not okay with this stuff you're doing, so can we stop that? We can do both, hold them accountable and respect them and love them and support them at the same time.
That's awesome, thank you.
That's right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you would like to say that we haven't touched on?
Stop killing women.
Yeah, stop killing women. That's probably number one. It is wild to me that we need to say that out loud. But again, I think that's the other thing is when we talk about showing up, we always look at it from the perspective of go to the rally, but by the time the rally has started, it's too late, right? Too many women have been killed, so we need to show up earlier, and that's why I talked about on the golf course or in the pub or in those conversations where we can offer accountability. It's about showing up there to prevent it from ever getting to the point where we need rallies like this.
I do really like what he was saying there about showing up and about not showing up at the rally. Yeah, that's good, but by the time you get to the rally, that is too late. You got to show up. You got to show up at the start. You got to show up for your mates and make sure that that you are there for them. But it's not okay when they have those behaviours that are misogynistic, that are derogatory, and
that are violent.
Any of those behaviours, and I do think that it's really important there that because I know a lot of the time that men do feel that they're being blamed for everything, and we talk a bit about how young men feel alienated, and they get they're driven to the arms of Andrew Tate because they're alienated and they're being blamed for everything, and not all men and all of that. But I do think it's important that we recognise that that it's not the boogeyman who's doing this violence. It is people in our community. It is people that we love and care about. It is people. It's our neighbours. It's our respected businessmen. It's people that for in other contexts, are probably good blokes, inverted commas, here, and to just go, okay, we're just gonna shut out the monsters. It's not going to work, because it's never worked, because we're not talking about people we're not talking about the boogeyman. We are talking about, it's very conflicting that there are people, for that other aspects of them we absolutely do love and care for, and so we need to make sure that they know that that we care about those parts of them, and we just will not tolerate violence. We will not tolerate violence. We will not.
And sexualising us. All those.
We will not tolerate misogyny. We will not tolerate violence, whether it be physical violence, mental violence, any of those things. Whether it be it's just a joke, love, or whether it's be obviously violent. Either way, it's not okay. And the message is that if you are a person who uses violence, you need to get help. And yes, you do need support, and certainly not wanting to, say that it's more important that we support perpetrators than we support victim survivors. Definitely not saying that, but it's just not that black and white. So yeah, show up for your mates.
And if you do need help, there's the MensLine Australia phone number 1300 789978. I also spoke to Dave off after the interview, and he's saying, there's an epidemic of men's anger, and it has to be men that do that get together and try and nut this out, and not sort of put it under the carpet that it's okay. I'll be silent. We need you to be speaking up and supporting each other, and I think all credit to him for putting these programs together. And I think he was a little bit. It's like some of them men, when losing his friend Hannah was the catalyst for him. And I guess he thinks, why didn't he do that before? But sometimes that's what you need. You have to have that pain, that shock in life to actually make some change. So good for him that he's actually gone and done that.
Yeah, and that was, a strong part of his message there was, don't wait until the rally. Do stand up now before you don't have to live through that to stand up. And I think that was a really important message as well. And I did see that there were many there were many malpresenting people present at the rally, and I don't want to be like, I don't want to give them a cookie for like, hey, good on you, you great male feminist, for showing up. But I also do at the same time want to appreciate that, just like everybody who showed up there, good on them for showing up. It's good on everyone, because it's a
community issue.
It is a men's issue, though. It is a men's issue, and while as much as it's everyone's issue, at the moment it is absolutely out of balance with women who are the people who are not only the victims and victim survivors of this, but also expected to do the work to stop it, and they can't, because they're not the ones that are actually
doing the perpetration.
They're not the problem. So, yeah.
Walking along with some friends on the street, this mate started giving his woman some grief. So I went up to him, stood up straight and said, hey, what you doing there, mate? Hey, dude. Yeah, you. Why the attitude? Gotta give respect, don't blow your fuse. Hey, dude, show some gratitude. You can choose not to abuse. 1378 9978. MensLine can help you out, mate. 1378 9978. So you don't cross the line, don't you cross the line, mate.
We can help, can we help you?
Confidentially.
We can help, can we help you?
Talk to you.
We can help, can we help you?
Make a safety plan.
We can help, can we help you?
Hey woman, hey man.
So now on the program, we're going to go to our A to Z of World Feminism, and I've chosen for E the country Ecuador. Actually, it's officially called the Republic of Ecuador, so I don't know whether it should be an R, but anyway.
Again, if we were playing categories, I would let you have Ecuador as E for Ecuador.
Well, I've always only known it as Ecuador, so I found out something new today. So Ecuador's in the northwestern corner of South America. It borders Colombia to the north, Peru to the east and south, and it's got the Pacific Ocean to the west. Ecuador's named the country of four worlds because it has the coastal area, the Andean highlands, oh my God, they're beautiful, Amazon rainforest, and the Galapagos Islands. population is about 18 million, and it operates a representative democratic republic. It was colonialised by the Spanish, and that happened 1534, a fair way back compared to us.
Yeah, around 400 years ago.
Yeah. So by Sebastian de Belalcázar, who defeated the last Inca forces. So this was the Inca area, and he found the city of Quito, which is the capital of Ecuador. In terms of feminism or feminist issues in Ecuador, they have made quite a significant, notable strides towards gender equity on lots of things. They do actually have a leadership gender parity law that came in 2020, which is hopefully to have 50% by 2025, which is this year. So I hope they make it. But I think they're actually at 42.4% as of 2023 of senior middle management positions. So in terms of gender representation, they certainly have made good inroads in that. The difficulty is that women still earn between 13 and 26% less than their male counterparts. And the big issue is obviously in the safety issue. Education, again, they've actually got a parity of 1.02 in 2021. So that means that more females are enrolled in education than males. So, as I said, they've really done quite a lot of work in that area. It's the challenge again is in this safety space. Obviously, gender-based violence is really high. Approximately 64% of women in Ecuador experience gender-based violence in their lifetimes, encompassing psychological, physical, sexual, marital, and gynecological obstetric forms. So it's and even though they have abortion legislation, it was decriminalised in 2021 in cases of rape. There's still a huge stigma on having abortions, and the main problem they have, not only in Ecuador but also in Latin America as a whole and the Caribbean, is that is young girls aged 10 to 14 being ending up pregnant, and a lot of that is to do with violence in the home, and Latin America and the Caribbean are only second to Africa in terms of this issue. So they become mothers very early. Yes, it's so birth rate was 53.2 births per 1,000 girls between the ages of 10 and 14. So there is work underway to try and look at this with some of the countries in the area getting together to look at what can be done in terms of trying to change that. But again, the culture in these countries is very patriarchal, very and so often women are marginalised in terms of their what they can say, what they can do, how they can stand up for things. And that's the main area that and of course they're also in my understanding is politically they're in they're sort of feeling the impacts like all of us around the world of this sort of very disenfranchised, sort of angry type political situations that are happening all around the world. And that will impact women and girls far more than it will men, unfortunately. So, but beautiful country, absolutely. The people are lovely. I haven't been to Ecuador, but I've been to Peru. And, it's just stunningly beautiful. And they've got a lot of indigenous people as well, lots of different. There's one tribe that's on the Amazon that I think there's only 600.
So
600 left.
Indigenous Inca people?
Also from the rainforest area, the Amazon rainforest. But yeah, they would be Inca, the Quechua, in the Andes area. But there are some of the oldest civilizations from the Amazon.
Believe, in terms of geography, they've got the Andes, the Amazon, and the Galapagos Islands. That's amazing. My geography is not my best Trivial Pursuit category, but yeah, what an amazing set of lands to have there.
And I think for me it highlights that. That well, I shouldn't say lucky, we're lucky in Australia, but we do have more support, I think, than I think women are freer, if that makes sense, or have more liberation.
It's interesting. I mean, absolutely. Yes, a lot of that sounds, a lot of the things you said there sound very in parallel with Australia. A lot of the rights for women in Ecuador have come about from 1970s feminism has brought about a lot of change for them, but it definitely does sound to be still a degree of severity. For example, I've found a statistic here from an essay by Sebastian Groom that says that since 2009, over 30 women have been jailed for having abortions, and the Secretariat of Human Rights, Bernarda Ordonez, says that more than 3,000 girls under the age of 14, and the content warning here as well, so more than 3,000 girls under the age of 14 became mothers as a result of rape every year.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's definitely a degree of severity, even though it sounds very parallel. That's definitely...
Yeah.
Definitely need our compassion there.
That's right, and our solidarity with them and understanding that this is a global issue as well as a local issue, that women all around the world are facing this stuff every day. Well, we're sort of running out of time. Do we want to quickly mention the History Project, or do we want to?
I reckon we can talk about that maybe a bit more next week. We'll say that saw an excellent talk at the State Library on Friday night, and that we have got a bit of fact checking from one of our listeners. Thank you, Colonel Gaddafi, that has said that Dr. Anderson is in fact a doctor, so we have that right. But with the 50th birthday of 4ZZZ coming up in December, it was great having a look at Dr. Anderson's work that she's been doing for this, or with the State Library, and saw some amazing footage of some of the women who were involved in setting up 4ZZZ. And it was just really very thought-provoking to me that she showed up the original application for 4ZZZ and the submission to get the radio license, and this is the 70s, so I'm assuming the names were representative of assumed gender. I don't like to make assumptions, but it appeared there were 2 male names and 2 female names on that application. But part of her point was that nothing to take away from the men that were involved in the setting up of 4ZZZ. They were great people and did a great job, but also there were women who also did a great job and did a whole lot of work, but for various reasons weren't recognised. And because the kind of work that they did, they did the secretarial type work. They did all of the admin, they did all the phone calls, they did like a whole lot of work on this. As well as laying bricks. There was some great footage of them laying bricks there, and so they it's like Ginger Rogers did everything Fred Astaire did, but backwards and in high heels, and so and thus is the history of 4ZZZ. But let's talk more about that next week.
Megaherzzz. You're listening to Megaherzzz on 4ZZZ.